Hey up everybody, let's talk about shoes. And being more specific, let's talk about legendary shoes. What I mean by that is, let's say for example, Nike. They make the original Alpha Flies. They're legendary, but they brought out version 2, stopped manufacturing the original ones, and we can no longer get them. But I have found a Chinese company called Xtep or Xtep, and they make the 160X 3.5 Pro. It says on the bottom there. Now, these were made years ago. Well, the originals came out years ago. They're now actually onto version 7, and these are back at version 3.5. But the difference is these are so popular and they've made such a good shoe that they didn't stop manufacturing it when they brought the next model out. These are still in full production. Let's have a look what we've got in here. First of all, we've got a really nice quality box. And we'll open this up. And the first thing I notice straight away is a new pair of socks. We'll have some of that. Nice quality socks. And then on the top, we've got extra insoles. These are thicker insoles with some different colour laces, but the bit you're waiting for is the shoe. Now, I haven't got any of the stats or anything like that. I do believe it's pretty lightweight. It's about the 210 grams or so. But what does attract me to this one is if you look underneath it, this is an aggressive race shoe. This is really the aggressive profile there underneath with the midsole to really get you to toe off. And I have watched other reviews about these. I've seen other comparisons. I do have a worry because when I do my reviews, I wear the shoes for a whole week, and I might not be able to do that in these, because if the other reviewers are right, then these carbon aggressive shoes just might be a little bit too much for my calves to deal with over a whole week, because there's a certain shoe by Puma that were made to be very similar to these. So, enough talking, let's go for a run. I just finished Monday's session reviewing the Xtep 160X 3.5 Pros, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on these while they're still fresh in my mind. And first and foremost, the fit, exactly right, the length's right, the width's right, the comfort's right. I didn't use the extra thick insoles that it gives you in the box because that makes the uppers a little bit too tight for me, but I did change the colour of the laces. I've now got the pink laces in. And running over to Battersea Park, I started my usual warm-up, which starts off with 10 minutes easy, and I've discovered these shoes are not very good at easy. They have a very, very strange geometry. When I'm running easy, I actually feel, even though the shoes fit me really well, I feel like I'm wearing clown shoes that are probably about 30 centimetres too long for my feet. It's uncomfortable to run easy in them. So much so that tomorrow's easy run, I'm not going to wear them. I'm just going to stick my review to the quicker paces with these. But when I got to the session and I started doing the 4x10 minutes at sub-threshold, this is where they came alive. The aggressive rocker on it, it's not a million miles away from the Puma Fast-Rs, which is probably why they're so uncomfortable to run at easy paces. The Puma Fast-Rs do feel better, not going to lie to you. These are a slightly heavier shoe and a touch less, not as aggressive, but for an out-and-out racer, these are fantastic so far. So that's my initial thoughts on them. The next time I wear these will be on Wednesday when we do the Hereford 5k. We'll do the first race of the series. It won't be an all-out PB attempt because I'm not in the shape. I haven't done the taper. and we travel until quite late Tuesday night, so I'm not going to be in any kind of fitness on Wednesday for the race, but I'm going to give it a good go. It's going to be a line in the sand and we'll see how it goes. So until Wednesday, I'll see thee. Well, I've just finished the Hereford 5k race 1 of the series, wearing the Xtep, here we go, it's a long name, the Xtep 160X 3.5 Pros, and they performed absolutely amazing. Those things are like rocket ships on your feet. They are incredibly aggressive. They really started to tire my calves out after the race, while I was waiting for Missy Sayup to finish her race. I really wanted to get changed out of them and into some normal shoes. They're fantastic for racing, and you can't take that away from them, but they're very, very similar to the Fast-R 3s. And if you've ever worn them, you'll know exactly what I mean. They're not a shoe to be messing around in. They're a serious race shoe. So that's it for now. Until the next session, which will be Saturday, that's it for now. I'll see thee. I've just finished a 10 by 3 minutes sub-threshold session. I did that at Parkrun, wearing the Xtep 160X 3.5 Pros, big long name, and I'm going to give you my thoughts about these shoes while they're still fresh in my mind. And they are absolute rocket ships. As soon as you open up the pace, they really come alive. I've said it before, and if you look at any other reviews of this shoe, you'll see that everybody thinks they're very, very similar in feel and the geometry to the Puma Fast-R 3s, and I completely agree with that, because as soon as you back off the pace and you do a recovery, the shoes go from feeling absolutely sublime to feeling quite awful, if I'm honest. They are not the shoe for going slow or easy paces. They just feel really uncomfortable. You actually feel as if the shoe is, it's like a clown shoe. It feels as if it's a foot too long. But like I said, that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying this is in any way taken away from the shoe, because they are race shoes and they're designed to run fast. So I'm going to use these as my training partner for my Fast-R 3s, is where I'm going to fit them into my rotation, and I'm going to recommend them to anybody who, first of all, has got strong enough calves to put up with a shoe like this. And I'm going to also say that if there's any new runners out there, steer clear of these shoes. They're not going to do you any favours. But that's it for now. I'm going to finish off this review with a little bit of a stats thing. Sat it through at my table. So I'll see you back there. Let's quickly run through the important stats that you want to hear about before I give you my final thoughts on this shoe. So the price was £126 delivered to my door. At the moment, that's working out at $169 US. The sizing for me was true to size. All my Western shoes I bought on a European size 42 because the UK sizing isn't very consistent. I ordered this in a European 42 and it fits me just the same. No problems there at all. I bought it from AliExpress. I've made a number of purchases from there now and I feel really safe and comfortable using that site. What I always do is I make sure that I'm buying from a trusted source. These were actually bought from Xtep's store they have themselves, so I knew there'd be no problems there. Midsole, that's what you want to hear about. Nothing fantastic by modern standards, this foam. It is a beaded Puma foam, but it is quite a firm and responsive one. This is where the magic of the shoe comes from, because the actual geometry of this is pretty much identical to the Puma Fast-R 3. To try and describe what this shoe actually feels like on your foot, it feels like you actually stood, the front of your foot, your forefoot, is stood on a ball. If you look at how that geometry is, when you're walking along, it doesn't feel nice at all. It's got this feeling that the shoe feels about this big. But as soon as you start putting some aggression into this shoe, I have not experienced rebound on any of my other shoes like this one gives. It is absolutely ridiculous the propulsion and feeling the rebound I get off this shoe. When I did that sprint finish at the Hereford 5K race, and I just emptied the tank completely, I was absolutely amazed at what I was actually feeling from this. It was insane, the amount of rebound. And that really sums this shoe up. It is a thoroughbred racing shoe, but it's not a shoe that you can use for easy work or anything like that. The geometry is just all wrong for anything except for all-out racing. Right to the extent that when I take this to a race, I'm not going to wear this on my warm-up. I'm going to put something else on to do my warm-up and putting these back on just for the race. And I never normally do that. I'll get warmed up in my race shoes. I've got no problem with that. But these, you can't. They are absolute rocket ships of shoes. These are going to be in my rotation. These are going to be the training partner, should I say, to my Puma Fast-R 3s. The reason being to the training partner, the Fast-R 3s are lighter, and because of that, I'll say that they're a faster shoe, but these are half the cost. So I can smash out the miles in these and getting used to that geometry and getting my calves used to all that pounding, so that when I do wear my Fast-R 3s, I get a much better experience from it, because feeling wise there's not a great deal of difference between them. I'm not going to use it for any light work. I'm not going to use it for any kind of warm-up or easy work, and I really wouldn't recommend anybody to buy these if they wasn't going to use it as a specific race shoe. And that pretty much sums this shoe up. It's an absolute banger of a shoe that it's legendary, and I understand now why this has been given the legendary title. Well done, Xtep. That's an absolutely fantastic shoe.